2 weeks ago, I gave a presentation to the African American genealogy group of the Miami Valley, which I belong to, and it was a presentation on solving family mysteries. And this was a particular case study relating to our family, the Hamilton family, and Grandma Esther's people, as she would have said. And so I wanted to, take the time to share with you something along that line. But as I move into these presentations, these portrayals, I want to take the time to also allow you to recognize the honor that is due Alex Haley. In 1975, as I said a little bit earlier, I went to this particular program while a teacher at Pickle High School, and the speaker, unbeknownst to me at that time, was Alex Haley, and he was on a tour promoting his book Roots, and his presentation was so awe-inspiring that I came home, got on the phone, called my Grandma Esther, and said, "Grandma, I'm coming home next week, and I want to sit down with you, and I want you to tell me some of those stories that you was always telling me as when I was a youth and wasn't particularly interested in hearing at that time, but I'm growing." Okay? And I just heard somebody who was really moving, and I just feel a need for you to share some of those old stories with me. And of course, she did. And she sat down and we began to look through some things. The first thing we looked at was the family Bible. And she shared some things with me. Began to go over the family tree, pedigree charts, and so forth. This is Alvin Hamilton. And his family, Richard and Mary, were brothers and sisters. And his parents were John and Margaret, or Maggie Ross. And then here's Esther Hannon Hamilton. And as you can see, born March 16th, 1896. And her siblings were Samuel Hannon, O'Hara Hannon, Ethel, Nellie. And those were, and that, it says Sammy, fall of 1941, died at that time. So that was, the only children were Samuel, O'Hara, Ethel, and Nellie. Her father's name was Reverend John W. Hannon. So again, there's a strong family religious tradition within our family tree. And her mother's name again was Cynthia Ann Ross. Now the Ross part is important because it's that part of the family that we're going to share with you. Here's a picture of my grandmother. This is Esther Hannon Hamilton. And she looks like a typical grandmother to me. You know, I'm sure that she was maybe a babe at one time. I don't know, but that's Grandma, and that's the way my grandmother looks to me. And I just adored her, loved her. She was just a sweet and nice person, okay, who was just loving towards everyone she met, at least from my perspective. Now somebody else might have something else to say, but keep it to yourself.
Get the best left hand back with you ever want to see.
That's her son talking, my father. And he probably deserved a little bit of that backhand too.
See, I see you roll your eyes at me, but I didn't see the hand coming. Bam!
All right. And this is her mother. This is her mother, and her mother's name was Cynthia Ann Ross. And she was born in Paint Lick, Kentucky, Garrett County, right on the border of Garrett and Madison County, about 7 miles from Berea. And I mentioned Berea because she attended Berea College, okay? In 1888, she attended Berea College. And we've got her transcript and some other records that she was able to obtained as a result of her quest to become a teacher. So again, there's something else. We have preachers and teachers within our family group. Preachers and teachers. I'm a teacher. My wife is a teacher. My oldest son is a teacher. And my youngest son, John, is a teacher. So we're just maintaining that family tradition. Maybe we'll, have some preachers in the next generation with Omavi or Sally. I don't know. But this is a page in the Bible, in Grandma Esther's Bible. And I want to call your attention to this area down in here. She's saying, my grandmother, and then she writes in because she realizes that she hadn't written it in earlier. She wrote in Lucy Ross. Okay? That was Cynthia Ross's mother. So it was her grandmother. And she goes on and says that she had a sister named Narcisse Wallace, and the Wallaces were from Springfield. And then she mentions here Henry Ross. I don't know if you can make that out that well, but it says Henry Ross, and it makes reference to he was married to Sally Kavanaugh. Well, actually, I think she married a Kavanaugh. But it makes reference to having a son named Chauncey. Now, I've got a picture. You'll have to go downstairs and visit our family room because there's a picture of Chauncey hanging on the wall. But it says Henry was a sombrelist. Now, I don't know what a sombrelist is, and I don't know if she spelled it right, but that intrigued me. That was the puzzle in my mind. What is a sombrelist? And she finished it with saying he was a sleepwalker and he had left home in search of work and was on a boat and walked off of the boat and was drowned at Pomeroy, Ohio. See that? Now, that was a bit of a puzzle to me. And when she told me these kinds of stories, it became my job to confirm or verify the stories as being authentic, real. Okay? So I set about trying to do the research and obtain the documents to find whether or not the story was true. Okay? The first thing I did, and this was back in 2001, I just retired from teaching at Pickle High School, so I had a little bit of time. And I wrote a letter. Said, hey, my name is Larry Hamilton, I'm a retired teacher, yada, 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 and told him about the roots. Said, hey, one of the many Bible entries concerned a relative named Henry Ross, who was an uncle to my grandmother. My grandmother, Esther, had written that Henry was a sleepwalker and that he left Loveland, Ohio, a Cincinnati suburb, looking for employment opportunities and was hired on a boat on the Ohio River. Saying again, one night he was sleepwalking on the boat and walked off into the Ohio River and drowned near Pomeroy, Ohio. So I was actually writing to Pomeroy, Meigs County, to the newspaper and also to the library to see if they could help me verify that record. I didn't have a date though. And when you don't have a specific date, they're not inclined to be very helpful. They decline to be helpful in that regard. They say, well, if you could just give us a specific time, okay, when he might have died, then we'll try to make a search. But not having a specific date, then it was a little more difficult. I knew approximately that it was within the last 5 years of the 19th century. That meant that it was before 1900 and it was after 1895. I knew that. And the reason why I knew that, because there was no reference to Henry Ross in the 1900 census. And I found that Sally Ross had married, and Chauncey was living with a man by the name of Green Kavanaugh. So the assumption was that Henry was dead by 1900.